Hello and welcome. This is Lita Downs from the Center for Faculty Excellence, and I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, Competency-Based Education and Tempo Faculty Perspectives. Today's offering was originally presented at the July 2018 National Faculty Meeting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The presenters were Deepa Sriram, Dr. Pamela Langer, Dr. Miriam Ross, and Dr. Linda Math. I'm going to turn things over to our first presenter, Deepa Sriram, my colleague in CFE. Hi, Deepa.
Hi, Lita. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. What you see now is the session agenda, and I just wanted to quickly welcome everyone and introduce our team. I will be talking about what is competency-based education and tempo learning, as well as the faculty orientation process. At that point, I will turn it over to my colleagues and my team members, Dr. Legner and Dr. Ross, who will share faculty perspectives and teaching in the CBE modality. After that point, we will turn it over to our other team member, Dr. Linda Math, who will discuss and describe some of the things that we did at a Tempo Faculty Summit earlier this year, and then we will close it out. So on that note, again, my name is Deepa Sriram. I am the Associate Director for New Faculty Experience, and CBE support in the Center for Faculty Excellence. And today, as we begin, I wanted to share some perspectives about what is competency-based education and what the differences and similarities are between competency-based education and course-based education. So some of the things that you may come up with or think about when you think of these two modalities is that both of them have assignments, both of them have students with a subject matter expert or a faculty member, and all the students have access to an advisor. The way that competency-based education differs from course-based is that rather than having set time where students enroll in a course and have assignments due on a set day during a set week and have discussions and interactions with other students and their instructor within the course and have one advisor that they may not necessarily see, in competency-based, the student subscribes to a time period. In Tempo Learning, which is Walden's competency-based education program, students subscribe to a 3-month subscription period. In those 3 months, they may take as many or as few competencies as they would like. This is based on their experience, their knowledge, and definitely their time. As they go through the competency, they are actually connected with an advisor. The advisor is called a coach, and the coach is part of the team that works with the student. Additionally, the student works with a subject matter expert who is the faculty member assigned to a specific competency. The student progresses through the competency as quickly or as slowly, again, based on their background, knowledge, skills, experiences, and time. So that is how course-based and competency-based are a little bit alike and also similar. And also different. One of the other things I also wanted to point out is in this modality, it is very important that we recognize students' life experiences because that accelerates their progress. And also, the main thing that we need to keep in mind about competency-based education is that it is a mastery learning modality. So here we have specific assessments that are assigned in each competency, and students demonstrate their knowledge, skills, and abilities when they complete these assessments. There are also 3 primary roles that I've mentioned briefly in Tempo Learning. Again, Tempo Learning is our competency-based education program at Walden, and they are the student, the faculty SME, and the academic coach. So these 3 folks always come together and form a team, and they stay with the student through the duration of the competency if they are a faculty member, and through the duration of the program if they're the academic coach. That makes this program very unique in that the student during that 3-month time will meet weekly initially with their coach, and they will set what is an individualized plan that they progress through. And based on how they're progressing, they may continue those weekly meetings or they may turn into biweekly meetings. But at each time that they come together with the coach, they are able to show what progress that they've made, and the coach can support them with questions. For example, if a student is having a difficult time accessing something in the Writing Center or is unclear about something, they can certainly go to the coach. I want to make it clear that the coach is not the same as our faculty subject matter expert. So if there is a question regarding content or feedback on an assessment, the coach will definitely refer the student back to the faculty member who can then answer those questions. Similarly, the coach and the faculty member also have the ability to meet and connect and discuss if there are any things that they need help in providing to the student. If the student has specific questions, maybe the coach will also reach out to the faculty member. So it's a really great working professional relationship that they have through the duration of their time in Tempo. In order to, if you as a faculty member or if your program is seeking to create a new program in Tempo, one of the things that we provide through the Center for Faculty Excellence is a Tempo Faculty Orientation. This is known as TFO. Everyone at Walden, when you're new to Walden, you take the new faculty orientation. This is similar to when you would teach in Tempo Learning, you would take the Tempo Faculty Orientation. So in the TFO, we provide a 3-week training. It's offered monthly, usually the first Monday of each month. And what we try to do is mirror the CBE experience. So what does that mean? Well, just as your students in this modality, the faculty members who go through the Tempo Faculty Orientation also are given a set time. So in this case, instead of 3 months, it's 3 weeks, and it is self-directed. So while we have faculty members who complete the training in 1 week, some take 2, and some take the entire 3 weeks. This would mirror what you would experience with your students. You may have students who complete your competencies quickly and others who may take the entire subscription period to complete one competency. Additionally, you will be paired with a facilitator in TFO who would be equal to your subject matter expert for your student in your competency. So we're there to guide you and take you through the training, help you to understand the CBE modality, the processes and responsibilities of a SME, and also give you practice in the Brightspace LMS. In CourseBase, you use Blackboard. However, in Tempo and in the CBE modality, we're using the Brightspace learning platform. And this is something that both the students and the SME and the coach all operate in. Finally, the faculty members in TFO get access to not only the training competency, but also a practice competency. The practice competency helps faculty members to go through some of the assignments and understand some of the processes that they will need to do regularly as they have students enrolled in their competency. So that's a little bit of overview on what and how CBE and Tempo Learning is set up at Walden University, who the players are, and what is required in terms of training prior to starting a SME role in Tempo Learning. So at this point, I will turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Legner, and she'll introduce herself and provide some information about faculty perspectives in Tempo. So Pamela?
Thank you, Deepa. I have worked in both the course-based and the competency-based programs, so I would like to share with you some of what I've learned. Let's start with some of the differences between the two programs. In course-based, we work with a number of students each term. We might have only a few students, or we might have around 30 students, and we go in lockstep week by week by week. In CBE, we work with one student at a time, and each student is in a different place in their journey through the competency. New students come in any day of the week, and other students complete the competency when they either achieve or master the assessment. And this is all dependent upon their own time schedule. Since there is a 3-month subscription period, we typically have more assessments to review near the end of each month. So as SMEs, we need to plan our time so that we have more time near the end of the month to grade and look at what they need to accomplish in order to be able to complete that competency. There are no set number of students per competency. We might have a few, we might have a lot. If we start to feel overwhelmed as programs grow and we have more and more students, then we have a conversation with our program director or our program coordinator, because they are ready and more than willing to make sure that we are not overloaded with number of students. But that's a great thing to have so many students that we need to have help. I like that idea. Our interaction with students is also different. In the course-based setting, we typically post announcements and interact in the discussions with the understanding that we are working with a number of students at the same time. We may have individual discussions with students via email or phone call, but our main interaction is with the entire class at the same time. In CBE, we work with individual students. Each student has a private discussion area where they can post questions or comments to the faculty SME. There is a link between the students, the faculty SME, and the assigned coach to help them put the puzzle pieces together and accomplish their goals. There is also a difference in the timeliness of feedback. In course-based, we are required to interact in the discussions a minimum of 4 days each week. We also have parameters set by our particular college regarding when we have to complete the grading for each week. In CBE, the best practice is to respond to students within 48 hours, but no longer than 72 hours. Personally, I check in every day to make sure I meet my students' needs quickly. Each time a student posts in the discussion area, we get an email. I get my Walden emails on my phone, so I'm able to see if there is an urgent request no matter where I'm at. For example, if a student on Saturday morning requests that I unlock the assessment, I want to be sure to do so as soon as possible, as I know that student is probably off work for the day and this is the time they have set aside to do the assessment. I see the email, I take a minute or two to go in and unlock the assessment and respond to the email. This is all completed from my phone. If the request is not urgent, I may simply respond that I am not at my desk and I will handle it as soon as I get back. We are the only link our students have, as they are not in a course-based setting with other students they can chat with. We need to be responsive to their needs regardless of the day of the week. Communication with our students is always important, but is even more important with CBE students so they don't feel alone in their journey. Communication needs to be positive. There are many ways to say the same thing, so let's use ways that are affirming. For example, I could write, "You did not include examples in your paper." Or I could write, "Your paper is on topic, clear, and well written. If you included examples that reinforce what you wrote, it would be even better." Communication also needs to be thorough and constructive. Students are puzzled when we write things such as, "More detail is needed." What does that mean? It is better if we are more explicit, such as, "Your discussion of XX is good, but it would be even better if you provided the definition of XX and a few examples that tie in with what you wrote." We want to give them feedback that is actionable. We also have the capability in CBE to provide audio feedback very easily. At the bottom of the rubric, there is a link that we can click and record what we want to say to that student. Students enjoy hearing our voices. It gives them a connection to us that helps them feel more a part of Walden. We can also provide video easily. There's also a video button at the bottom of the rubric that allows us to record video for our students. They really enjoy seeing our faces. We can also use this capability to demonstrate something to the student. We can upload a video that we made previously. Since I teach in the accounting competencies, I sometimes upload an Excel video of an example of something that they are struggling with. I don't give them answers, but I give them examples. Communication is very important to our students to make them feel a part of our community. We can also invent games to help students learn or test their knowledge. We cannot require them to complete these, but sometimes we can enhance their learning with games. There is a WikiHow website that explains how to create various games such as matching, flashcards, put in order, Jeopardy type, or multiple choice. Let's take a look at a simple multiple choice game. There's only one question, but it was very easy to create. I think it probably took me less than 5 minutes. So here is the slide that would come up for a student. Click here, and here was the question. If you are lost in the desert, what do you do? Look for water, play in the sand, eat sand, die from hunger and thirst. I'm just going to click on play in the sand. And it says, uh-oh, try again. I can put anything in there I want in order to explain why the answer is wrong. Now let's click on the right answer. Look for water. Congratulations, you win. And they enjoy these types of games. Working efficiently is very important for us. We don't want to waste time doing repetitive tasks when we can automate them. Here are some applications that you might want to check out. I use Type It In, as I can make groups, type in information that I use frequently, run other apps, open web pages, create macros. For example, I have a group set up for one of my competencies, and within that group I have set various phrases that I use often, such as one about APA, one about spell check, etc. When I grade, all I have to do is select in the paper or the rubric the location where I want to put the phrase. I click on the phrase and it appears. It is quite a time saver. There's a 30-day free trial, and the cost is $21.95 per user forever. Another one is TextBand Pro, and this is for Android users. It's free, and it assigns shortcuts to phrases you use frequently. Then there's Phrase Express. It is for Windows, Mac, iPhone, iPad, and Android. You can create macros and even switch languages. It's $49.95 for 1 year, and there are also 3- and 5-year subscriptions available. Typing Assistant is for Windows only. It completes phrases by predicting what you are trying to type. It autocorrects and can add your own phrases to the dictionary. One license is about $129.95, and each upgrade is $39.95. Text Expander can insert snippets of text from various types of content using a quick search or an abbreviation. It is for Windows and Mac. Some of its functions are only in English, though. It is $3.33 per month if paid annually, and there's no end. You pay that every year. As we know, Microsoft Word also has auto text features. You can assign a couple of letters to a phrase. I prefer to use Type It In because I can have that open whether I am working in a Microsoft suite or if I am working in the rubric itself. It's very easy. I don't have to go back and forth between two things. Type It In for me is an Apple product, and it is $19.95 for 1 user forever. So if you use Apple products, that might be what you want to do. All of these, if you go to the website, have explanations and tutorials and show you exactly how they work. So you might want to check on some of those. Another way to save time might be speaking instead of typing. If typing is not our thing and you prefer to use software that types for you, we have some options here. eSpeaking is one option. TAST is another. I haven't tried either one of these programs. I prefer Dragon Naturally Speaking. It's a very robust program that will learn your speech patterns. And in addition to typing, it can open web pages, click on links for you. You could go completely hands-free with this software. You don't need the latest version. I think the latest version is selling for about $150, and you do not need that. If you get a previous version, the cost will be less. Currently, version 13 is selling for around $70. The one thing that I really like about this is it has a tutorial where it learns your speech patterns, and it even asks you before you start what part of the world you're in. And since I picked United States, it even broke it out by Southern, Midwestern, Eastern, Western, and even northern part of the Midwest around the Great Lakes region, which is where I'm from. I found that interesting. And so it could easily pick up on my accent, which might be different than somebody who has grown up somewhere else. And now I'd like to introduce our next presenter, Dr. Miriam Ross from the MHA program. She's a very experienced faculty SME and will share with us her observations of the CBE environment. Dr. Ross?
Hi, thank you, Pamela. Yes, as CBE faculty, we have many unique opportunities. And one of these is to provide encouragement, mentoring, and instruction. The CBE model and our roles lead to student satisfaction and thus to the growth of the program. Pamela and I were asked to be interactive with our presentations, and the way I am going to be interactive is to take you back in time. Take you back to a time to think about your favorite teacher. We all had teachers that were very special to us for many reasons, either when we were young, in high school, college, or later. Think about why your special teacher had a unique place in your life and why you still remember that person. Perhaps you felt a special connection, knew the teacher cared that you succeeded. Perhaps you felt free to ask questions or share information about yourself or even laugh with the teacher. And most of all, you enjoyed learning from the teacher. This includes some of our roles with the CBE program that are very one-on-one. Think about the connection you had with your teacher as I go through these slides, because these are the types of connections we will always remember and think about when we're teaching and when we put ourselves in the student's place. Transitioning from traditional online classes to CBE makes a difference in our relationships. The CBE approach is more proactive. When we first started the CBE program, we commented that if students did not ask questions, they probably did not have questions. We discovered, of course, that this is not the case. In the traditional course, students learn from other students, read their questions, and often model behaviors after the better student. This is not the case in CBE. The student has the instructor and may feel hesitant to ask questions because they feel somewhat alone in the competency. Therefore, CBE faculty need to be proactive by posting a welcome message as soon as the student enters the competency, as this begins the process for completing the assignment successfully. Inviting students to ask questions is always ongoing. The welcome message should be inviting, share brief information about the competency, and invite students to respond to questions. And I'm often surprised by the professional expertise of our students. They are MDs, administrators, nurses, and healthcare professionals of all types. And this kind of expertise goes across all programs. Their expertise gives them confidence, but the need to achieve success is also a concern since they have not been in school for many years. Letting them know that we understand and we are here to help them succeed removes much of their stress and motivates them to move forward. Otherwise, if students remain concerned, they often procrastinate. Plus, when we encourage students, faculty learn about a student's unique needs. We can provide additional subject matter, advise them to talk to their coach, and refer them to various Writing Center programs. I really love this picture because I often hear from students who state they are totally bewildered by instructions and how to complete an assignment. As CBE faculty, we can help clarify assignments and in a few simple statements further explain what is needed. Once I do this, I can often literally hear a sigh of relief, and I know you have experienced this as well. We are providing mentoring and encouragement that will help a student do their best and decrease those feelings of being overwhelmed, confused, and stressed. This encouragement is just another example of student-centered learning, and it gives students the green light to complete the assignment, to ask further questions, and to use their creative skills. Another option I find helpful for complicated projects is to require that students share their topic before they begin the project. I do this for my project management and population health projects. Asking them to share their topic clarifies that they are proceeding correctly, and often because students complete 20 to 30 pages, I do not want students wasting their time. When students respond to the what is your topic question, they often share information about themselves, their organization, community, and professional goals. This is just another way that we can connect with them. CBE encourages critical thinking and creativity. The projects I mentioned are not designed to be 20 or 30 pages, but this is what students may have created based on their research and the connection of their projects to their work. This workplace relevance improves their professional expertise and skills in scholarly and creative ways. Just this past week, a student shared with me in the project management course that they had just been assigned to coordinate the new burn unit in their hospital. And they mentioned that the project would be helping them both in their employment, their professional growth, and plus it would be interesting to complete for the assignment. The CBE faculty and student connections are a shared journey where we learn and share as we instruct. Thank you for this opportunity to share my perspectives as a CBE faculty member. And now Dr. Linda Mast, who has been in charge of the MHA CBE program, will share information about key performance indicators. Thanks, Linda.
Hi, thank you. And I think what you've heard so far from Deepa, Pamela, and Miriam really sets the stage for giving some information about key performance indicators. And so this spring, there was a summit, and all of us that are presenters today were part of this summit. And this slide shows a picture of our team that got together. And really the purpose of the summit was to explore key performance indicators that would be unique and specific to the CBE modality. And as you've heard, the approach to working with students is very different. It's very individualized and certainly lends itself to exploring different ways to recognize faculty contributions that are really supporting learning for our students. So the initial outcomes from our summit really focused on building consensus on some broad goals for key performance indicators that all of us felt were the most important to be sure that we addressed. And as you've heard so far in our presentation, these are aligned well with everything that we've presented. And the first one is that it's faculty-initiated support of students and their individualized needs. And this is what Miriam just addressed with us about being proactive at sending those individualized greetings to students. So start building that relationship. And so at our summit, we certainly recognized that that was one of our broad goals that we would see as a very important KPI. And then the next is to develop that proactive, positive relationship with students as a foundation for learning. And all of the programs, all of the faculty, all of us that teach in CBE have assessor guidelines that were developed as a collective organizing way to give direction on ensuring consistency on how assessments are applied using the rubrics. And so this is also something that we recognized as a broad goal for our KPIs to make sure that there is consistency in assessment scoring. And this gives reassurance to students that their work is going to be assessed in a consistent way. And then another broad goal for the KPIs that came out of the summit is engaging in collaborative student support teams. And as Deepa mentioned, the CBE modality includes a very collaborative process where academic coaches and faculty work very closely together to support student learning and success. And so this is a specific performance area that is unique to CBE that we don't necessarily have in the course-based, and we wanted to make sure that was recognized as a KPI. And then participating in continuous quality improvement. Again, another unique aspect of CBE is really which I think has come through in our presentation so far, is the competencies that faculty teach are really something that they have ownership in. And if there are areas where we see students maybe have questions about the instructions or some other aspect about a resource that's provided, the faculty subject matter expert for that competency can then make the recommendations themselves in real time to move that forward for improvement. So once our summit established those broad goals, we really, as a next step, there was a team that worked on sort of brainstorming and reimagining what the key performance indicators for CBE might look like, how they might be structured. And what came out of that team was really a focus on faculty development as the central aspect of key performance indicators, and to really look at it as a way to recognize the initiatives that faculty are taking that are making a positive change, and to have that as the focus. So also looking at this as a way to leverage sharing best practices across faculty and to capture behaviors that are really driving the best results, and to make sure that that's more broadly shared among faculty. And then to have more of a balance between looking at qualitative and quantitative metrics. Some things, as you'll see in a minute, have examples that really are fairly binary. It's yes or no, and these would be the things that are more time-based. But many of the aspects of the key performance indicators for competency-based education lend themselves to a more qualitative review because it involves such individualized communication approaches for students that meet them where they are and their level of experience in particular competencies. So with that, the types of data that were recommended that came out of the summit and those broad goals really looked at both long and short-term objectives for the ways that data might be collected and used. And for longer term, the types of data that would be used are things such as would include collaboration between program director or supervisor and faculty. And this would be more of a longer term dialogue that would include sharing of what the faculty's experience has been and what they have found to bring good results. And I think something that's important here to highlight is that there's not necessarily a specific target number. And again, this is more
So I think this is Deepa Shriram. I think what Linda also wanted to share is, in addition to this, that they're also looking at another recommended approach, which would be short term. And the short term is looking at this every 3 months and just looking at some specific binary metrics directly tied to the KPIs. So as all of us have mentioned several times during this presentation, because it is so critical to understanding this modality, is that it is not only a proactive approach that we use in CBE, but it's also timely response because it is so critical to the CBE students. CBE students are purchasing that subscription time, so the more frequent and detailed and effective responses and feedback that we can provide to our students to help them progress in that specific time is very critical for their success, for their understanding, and again, being a SME, you are directly connected to the student and one of the only resources in regard to the classroom, unlike in course-based where they also have that interaction with the peers. But what's wonderful about the fact is that it is so individualized in CBE that you are providing direct feedback. You are supporting the students where they are at that moment within your competency and helping them to demonstrate mastery. On the course-based side, sometimes a student can successfully complete a course but may not necessarily hit some of the smaller objectives or a couple of the objectives because their overall assessment and their overall grade reflects that they have completed a course. In CBE, it is an incredibly wonderful aspect of the modality that the students are actually demonstrating mastery with every objective. So when they are coming out with this program completed, they are showing mastery in all skills and not just in some. So I believe those are some of the highlights that Linda wanted to bring up and share with all of you. And I am just going to forward to the next slide. And Linda, are you back by chance?
Yes, and thank you, Deepa, and I'm sorry I lost my connection. So
okay.
Yes, so thanks. So this slide is just an example of what came out of our summit and the initial work, really looking at using the mastery model that our students experience as a way to provide information and feedback to faculty on their performance in terms of teaching. And so this particular example just shows sort of like the model that we use with students on levels of achievement. And what came out of our initial discussions is to maybe have something that's more like a stoplight or a progression that, again, isn't necessarily a hard and fast metric of a number. So this just sort of illustrates more of that dynamic aspect. In this particular example of a KPI is one that talks about communication. And you remember that is one of the broad goals about that individualized approach with students. So in this case, the KPI is looking for faculty to be a skilled communicator using tools that fit different communication needs and adapt to individual students. So this is that personalization. And in this case, the assessment or the mastery model rubric looks at whether it's urgent, maybe there's some inconsistencies, or great work. And this is in terms of giving feedback to students on their assessment. And Deepa, if you could advance the slides, I don't have that. Thank you.
Sure.
And there was one example, back one. Thanks. Oops. Yeah. Okay. So here's a second example of a different type of KPI, and this one would be one of the ones that's an example of more of a metric that would be a yes or no type. And this is one that is time-based. And as Deepa mentioned earlier, our students enroll in a subscription model where they can move forward and complete as many competencies as they wish within that 3-month subscription. So time is an extremely important aspect of faculty's commitment to supporting students. So what came out of our summit and it has really good support and consensus is really recognizing that is an important KPI then the CBE modality has a requirement that assessments are completed and that feedback is returned to the student within 72 hours. And that is that is just a yes, no. It's either done or not. And so this would be the way that would look for the student for the faculty member. So in this case, the 72-hour, it's just a yes, no. And I guess I could also add that most of our faculty generally complete assessments or try to within 24 to 48 hours because they know how important getting that feedback quickly is for students. So that is something that I think most faculty make that commitment, although the requirement is just the 72 hours. So moving forward, after our summit and building some consensus on the types of metrics and both qualitative and quantitative data that would be used, the next step then is to look at ways that data would be collected so that it's usable. And at this time, Dr. Kim Ford is working with our learning management system, our D2L partners, to look for some ways to extract that data into usable ways so that it can be used by both faculty and their supervisors to give good feedback on how we're meeting those performance indicators. And with that, I'd like to turn the presentation back to Deepa.
Thanks, Linda. So we just wanted to also share that we have some additional resources for you if you are interested in learning more about Tempo Learning. The website is on your screen, and there it will give you much of an overview like we have given, but also an additional contact. We also urge that if you have any questions, feel free to contact the Tempo Operations email address that's noted on your screen. It's tempooperations@laureate.net. They would be happy to either answer your question or at least direct you to a person who can answer any additional questions you may have about Tempo Learning, the CBE modality, the TFO, or any other questions that you may have. So on that note, we want to thank you all for joining us. We appreciate the time. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation and feel that you have gained some knowledge about an overview about CBE, Tempo Learning, and the various roles, and also about where we are with our KPIs and assessments within Tempo Learning. Thank you again for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.